15 days to Christmas, and I've seen John Berry's question about no Christmas jumpers. Sorry, John, I'm not repeating the onesie performance you gave a couple of years ago. It's also only 12 days to the longest night and the shortest day, and then things will get better. But as we already know, life is looking a bit brighter. Obviously, yesterday we started with the vaccine for COVID-19, and that's got to be the highlight of the year so far. And I'd actually just like to reflect on what an achievement that is. It was about a year ago or so that we started hearing about COVID-19 and coronavirus, and all of a sudden we've become experts in it. But pandemic at that stage wasn't even in our vocabulary. Since then, we've seen incredible steps in scientific research and development to develop a range of formulations to combat COVID. We've seen the scaling up, production, yet another feat to mass produce this. It's going to be for the UK and for the world population. What's also worth recognising is the fact that whilst this development was going on, the researchers have been working in parallel with the regulators to ensure that all those processes, all the findings, all the tests were regulated, were reviewed, and with the, as you saw, the vaccine has been approved so rapidly for use in this country. Absolutely brilliant collaboration there with the regulators. We shouldn't also forget the procurement portfolio that's been assembled against a range of vaccines, starting with, well, back in March, April, May, when we didn't know which vaccines were going to fail at the start line or which were going to cross the finish line. The fact in this country we have that portfolio, it's reduced risk and given us the opportunity to have that vaccine available to us all. And of course, we now have the most incredible logistical effort across the country trying to vaccinate the whole UK population. There are lots of other bright things I could talk about. I'm not going to talk about Brexit. I'm not going to talk about Boris, but actually, briefly, more locally, just an experience I've had this week. I've had the privilege of working with the latest intake of the Sellafield graduates. Well, they've had really quite a disrupted year. Their finals were disrupted, their graduation was disrupted, and to be honest, their working patterns are really quite strange at the moment in terms of where they're based and having to do a lot of work through video conference. They might have missed that first day at work we've all had, you know, the trepidation, the nervousness, you get your site pass, you go on site for the first time, you get your first desk, you find out where the coffee machine is, you meet all your colleagues. That's not really happened in the same way as we've all experienced it. But I've got to say, they've all adjusted well to this new paradigm, and it's been a great experience of working with them. They were engaged in the exercises, they were inquisitive, they worked hard on the exercises that we placed with them. They all have a diverse range of degrees, and they're going into a wide variety of roles at Sellafield. And it was a privilege to work with them, and they're all coming to Cumbria. They're joining our economy, and they're joining our community. So yeah, I reckon that the future is bright. And so I welcome you all. And with that segue, I'm now going to hand over to Diane.
Thanks, Sharon. That was absolutely the perfect lead into what I'm going to talk to you all about today, because the world has changed, hasn't it? 2020 has not been the year we anticipated it being. And we all know as we come back out and we come into 2021 with the vaccines coming, and hopefully we'll all start meeting people again in real life, we're coming out into a new landscape. Things are going to have changed. And there's been a lot of work going on in the background in the cluster. Ivan updated you about 6 months ago and talked about some work we've been doing with local MPs and the local councils. That's really about, what do we want Cumbria to look like as we come back out? What do we want that new landscape to be? How do we find our new pioneers that build it into everything positive that we want to see? And the start of that, quite honestly, is finding out what people think. So as the cluster, we've partnered up with the Community Data Co-op, who are an innovative organisation. And we've partnered up with them to try and find out from you as our members, and then wider into the whole community, what people want to see from that future of Cumbria. It's really exciting stuff. We're starting off with a survey, and some of you may have seen this coming out from emails from Hazel, who's added it into the various cluster emails. You might have seen it on the board members and shadow board members' LinkedIn profiles. Hopefully you'll start to see it popping up everywhere. And what we've got is a survey that you can complete for your business if you're in that position as a business leader or owner. And if you do that, you also get added value, because you can then have a personalised link you can share with your own staff to see what their thoughts are as well, in an anonymised way. And we also have a survey that any of us can complete as individuals to say, actually, what are our priorities? What do we care about as we go into 2021? And that data in an anonymised way will be shared with all the organisations that are building that future for Cumbria. It'll also be shared with yourselves. You'll be able to see what other people are thinking as well. But beyond that, we'll use that data to have conversations about inward investment and how they can bring the best that they can bring in terms of social value to Cumbria. So it's all really exciting stuff, but we need your help. We do need you to help by completing those surveys yourselves, by sharing them, by encouraging others to do so as well. So I'm going to share into the chat 2 links. One is for individuals and one is for businesses. And I'm asking each and every one of you if you'd be willing to go and complete those surveys for us, be part of building that new landscape, be part of building a Cumbria that is confident as it goes into 2021. And that's all I wanted to say. If there's any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them in the chat or in here. But also, hopefully you all know as members, I am available at any time. Message me on LinkedIn, email me. You know, you can reach out to me in whatever way you like. I love to have a conversation. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Diane. Yeah, so those links are in the chat, and they will no doubt be added into to the follow-up email and posted on the website afterwards. So if you don't capture that link just now, please do make a point of going back to the website. And obviously, as many survey responses as we can get, then it all helps us shape what the environment that we're living and working in. So we'll move on, and next up we've got Vicky Ritson, who is going to give us an update on the BECBC Schools Collaboration Project. And I'm going to share your slides, Vicky, so I'll just pop those up on screen, and then it's over to you.
Morning, everybody. Firstly, apologies to those that attended the social value group meeting yesterday. My update is probably more or less the same, but here goes. As you may have heard, we've got some exciting changes coming up in the new year. But before we talk about those, I wanted to highlight some of the tremendous work we've done together over the last 3 years. The Business and Schools Collaboration Project is 3 years old almost. We had a vision back at the start of coordinated school engagement, levelling the playing field for all secondary students in Copeland and Allerdale. And I think we've done it. Almost 20,000 students engaged, all those students having mainly multiple employer encounters in school. 2,700 volunteer hours completed. Even this term, we managed to continue in the virtual workspace. Almost 400 students have had a mock interview this term, not to mention a variety of live chats, videos we've shared that members have made in the recent weeks. And we've got lots planned for the new year. Cluster members have helped us to make this possible. You have made this possible for us, and we're extremely grateful for that. Oh, what's coming next? Inspira has secured funding to take this programme, our model, to the next level. So in January, the Business and Schools Collaboration Project becomes the link. And the link is based on the success we've had together in the West, very much so. But what the link allows us to do is to extend what we're doing. This will be county-wide coordination. 3 more Vickies, oh no, I hear you say, but 3 more of me, plus me, 4 of us, working across the county with all Cumbrian secondary schools. The county-wide coverage means that we can work ever closer with the Careers Hub, the Enterprise Advisor Network, and some new kids on the block, people like Speakers for Schools and so on, that we're working with schools at the moment. And we know that collaboration is the key to our success. Currently virtual, we know that some employer encounters will return to face-to-face in the future, and we imagine that the future looks like it's going to be a mixture of things. Digital delivery will remain an important part of what we do going forward. We're really delighted that our shared vision, that the one that we shared with you shared with us and allowed us to bring together, has been recognised and invested in and on a larger scale. Really delighted with that. So what does this mean for cluster members? No change here. I want to emphasise it's the same service. You've still got me, I'm afraid, delivered by the same people, and the same support is needed. We would love volunteers to keep coming forward and support school engagement in the same ways. There's plenty of requests on the calendar, I'm sure you'd be pleased to hear, and we've got bookings through until at least Easter time already. So if you haven't already, before you go off for your Christmas holidays, please book in for something in the new year. And finally, I wanted to say, on behalf of Inspira, I want to thank everyone for their support and encouragement in the last 3 years, and I hope that we'll continue to work together in the same way going forward. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thank you, Vicky. Okay, so yeah, good update there, and obviously some good feedback coming through in the chat as well. So we'll move on to our next speaker, but introducing her will be Sian. So I'll pass back across to you, Sian.
Thanks very much, Andrew, and thanks again to Vicky. And it's just before I move to Susan, the BECBC is something the cluster is extremely proud of, and those of you out there who were part of its foundation, you know who you are. A big thank you, and I hope that you are very proud with the work that you initiated. Anyway, moving on, it's an absolute delight to introduce Susan Lussem, the new Supply Chain Director at Sellafield. She joined Sellafield in September of this year, and a little bit of a biog. Since gaining a Bachelor of Engineering in Industrial Engineering in South Africa, Susan has worked across the globe in a range of sectors, including oil and gas, mining, and heavy manufacturing, with vast experience in developing and implementing strategies and transformation plans throughout the supply chain. Her wide variety of roles, I have to say, have included consulting, strategic sourcing, supplier relationship management, procurement, logistics, inventory management, project management, and business re-engineering. Well, I reckon Sellafield is very lucky to have her coming along, and we're looking forward to hearing what you have to say. Susan, over to you and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate the time to speak to everyone this morning. So thank you very much for the introduction as well. I was thinking about what to say to introduce myself, but you've neatly taken that requirement away from me. I'm of course delighted to have joined Sellafield. It's been an interesting 3 months, because I don't think you realize how difficult it is, or I didn't realize how difficult it will be to get into a new industry and a new company and a new environment trying to do so virtually. So I'm very happy to be here, and apologies for people that I haven't met and spoken to as yet. So I thought we'd just share an achievement, which I'm sure if you're in the Cumbria area close to Seascale, you're more than aware of. But the top part of the photo shows the 61 meter chimney, which once sat atop the first generation reprocessing plant in the center of the Sellafield site. And I understand it's been part of the landscape for a very long time. The team has now demolished that to the height of 30 centimeter, which you can see at the bottom part of the slide, which I think is just such a great achievement. Now, this project has come in ahead of schedule and within the cost sanction, which makes it even more of an achievement to celebrate. It's been a true collaboration between Sellafield and our supply chain partners. The specialist skills and experience of companies including Nuvia, Delta International, and Alimac. They used an innovative self-climbing platform to do the work in demolishing this chimney. And I think it's just amazing to see the end result, and especially being, you know, in schedule and in sanction. I also wanted to mention under achievements the work that we've all done, and when I say we, Sellafield and the supply chain partners, on getting us through COVID. It's been a difficult year for all of us. I'm fairly sure we've all mentioned those words somewhere during this year. But just the fact that we started up safely, we started up in a very controlled manner, and that we're delivering against objectives makes it a true achievement and a true collaboration between partners. So thank you very much from my point of view on that as well. Moving on to the next slide, please. So I'm not sure if you've seen the new enterprise strategy has been published on our intranet site, but I want to just start off with a brief reminder on the Sellafield manifesto that was published in September. And it clearly states our purpose for the next, I would say, few decades, which is to create a clean and safe environment for future generations. Why is that important for a company to state a clear purpose? Because I fully believe that people connect with a why you do things, not necessarily what you do. And if we are really clear on why we're doing something and what we want to achieve, it helps people understand why we're doing things and how their activities that they're busy with in teams and as individuals, how that fits with their purpose. So I'm the sponsor for We Are Clear on What We Are Here to Do. And I will freely admit that when I joined Sellafield on the 1st of September, this statement was handed to me and said, please, will you sponsor this? And it possibly was quite, I did have a small chuckle to myself because I thought I might know about supply chain, but I don't know about Sellafield. But I'm very passionate about being clear on what we are here to do and making that link back to the purpose, the strategy, and what we do on a day-to-day basis. Because if you understand that, you can understand what other teams are driving for. And if you understand what other teams are driving for, you understand how you can work collaboratively to deliver the purpose. My experience from other industries, which is all heavy manufacturing, so it's very relatable to what Sellafield does, shows that when we work collaboratively, understanding what the other teams are driving for and why, we can deliver a much better end result, which for me makes this very exciting work. You'll also see that the manifesto is part of the strategy that's been published, which I think is great because it gives that golden thread pulling through all of the documentation. So onto the strategy. It replaces our corporate strategy from a few years back. It keeps a focus on our people, but the main differences are the increased focus on lifetime enterprise-wide value and on sustainability. And with sustainability, we mean environment, climate change, and social impact, and then on waste management and storage. So those three very specific focus areas. What does this mean for the supply chain? What do I mean when I refer to value? Value is not cost savings or doing something for less, but it's really meaning being more effective in how we accomplish something. And that effectiveness goes back to my previous comments on working collaboratively, using other people's skills and capabilities to get to a better end result. It also means that we need to work with the people and the communities we're functioning and where we are situated, make sure that the social impact is positive and can be seen, and that we're sustainable. And with sustainable, I don't just mean environment and climate change, but I also mean working with the communities that we're in and ensuring that we leave a positive legacy. So the enterprise strategy focuses on the next 3 to 5 years. It will see us move into our next phase of work, which is fuel reprocessing. It's from fuel reprocessing to waste reprocessing. So it's quite a change in focus. And our mission is now to convert our inventory, which everyone knows about, I'm sure, probably knows about more than I do. It's converting that inventory into high quality waste products. We will be working on high hazard reduction with a focus on cost. And I refer again, cost, value, effectiveness. It's that whole package. So our strategy is principles-led and people-centered. And I've spoken a bit about the people-centric part, but it's in addition to setting the enterprise objectives and a view of what we aim to achieve in the next 5 years. It addresses some of the big questions about what sort of organization we want to be and what is important to us over a 20-year timeline. And you'll see there on the slide, I like the colorful, both colorful bits. But it's connecting sustainability, the environment, our mission definition, and waste management and storage throughout the company. So what does it mean? We are creating a clean and safe environment for future generations. So firstly, that's sustainable site stewardship with a focus on safety and security. And I just want to backtrack quickly here and go back to our manifesto. Although safety is not specifically mentioned in the manifesto, it's purely because safety underlines, underpins, supports everything we do. We have to be safe first. When you have a discussion, when you think about a new project, it's being safe first, making sure that people who come to the office, whether it's virtual or going into a real life office or site, goes home every evening in a safe manner to their family and friends. So that's why it's not necessarily pointed out. It's because we just see it as part of how we operate. And part of our legacy, really. So firstly, sustainable, being sustainable. So that's reducing our carbon and also managing a smart, agile and resilient site. Progress at pace. Although it sets out 3 to 5 years, which is part of a bigger 20-year mission that we're now looking at, it has to be progressed at pace. We want to become predictable in our project delivery. I was talking to a senior member in the A the other day, and he said, "I want boring, Susan. Please give me boring. I don't want to be surprised." So we want to become really predictable in our project delivery. And one of the interesting stats that I've seen the other day, if we, as we go through the next couple of years, we will actually become one of the biggest construction sites in the UK, which is really, if you think about it, a fabulous opportunity for us all to be part of something so big and important in the UK industry and market. And the last one there is lifetime value for money. And first, and I like this, it's unlocking the potential of our people, then driving innovative solutions for the future, being a good neighbor. You'll remember I spoke about social impact a bit earlier, being a good neighbor and also industrial partner to the communities we're in and the bigger UK market that we operate. And that will make sure that the legacy we leave for future generations are positive and value adding. I'm fairly sure I missed a few things that I could have said, but that's as far as the slides go. So that brings us to the question and answer session. Thank you very much.
Susan, that was really interesting, and it was great to hear social impact and proper value for money mentioned so much through everything that you said. And I just wondered, to help the supply chain on a really practical level, it's a big move going from least cost, which we all know has often driven things in the past, to proper value for money. On a practical level, how are you going to manage that change for supply chain? And I do apologise for my dog both barking in the background and then getting his new toy and making a racket with that as well.
It's okay. we can look at your Christmas tree, so it's all good. It's a fabulous question. So I've been speaking to the teams about how we further our implementation of category management, which is really how you arrive at value for money, and making sure that you've got the most effective solution for a specific piece of work. And we've got quite a bit of way to go there still. We will be focusing on that for the new year, because what category management tells us is we have a strategy for that category, and then immediately you get your social impact in there. You make sure that you're aware of your industrial partners that's available. You can go and look for some new ones, just to make sure you've got the best mix available to you. On a practical level, so do more category management, engage with the market, and we'll have to do some pilot projects, because this is, you have to eat the elephant one bite at a time. So it probably will look slow from certain quarters, but I'm fairly sure that by the end of next year, people will have seen at least a few projects gone through the market in a more engaged way, using the channels that my team has already set up. But I'm really focused on getting a few out for next year, where we use the social impact and sustainable and SME strategy that we've already got in place, and use that to move us forward, to make sure that the value for money and the lifetime cost comes to the foreground more. But it's going to take a bit of time, and we'll, public procurement does take a bit of time. The lead times are long, and we're working on that, but it is what it is. Certain things you can't change, not quickly in any case.
We don't expect things to move quickly in nuclear.
Oh, thank you.
Don't need to worry about that one. But it's great to hear it's going to have that really strong focus. I think that, it's something our members care about. We know that from the discussions that we have. So thank you for that.
All right, thank you. Question from Ivan. There's a couple of questions coming through now. Great to see, but let's go to Ivan Baldwin.
Hi, Susan. Nice to see you again. It was just a question. Now, it might be that it's too early to sort of answer, but really quite interested in terms of the signals coming out of Treasury on changes to the Green Book. And given where the sites are tended to be located for nuclear decommissioning, and then obviously Sellafield, are you able to share some initial thoughts on how you think it might impact the work at Sellafield in the programme and into the supply chain?
No, I'm afraid not. It's a good question, but I don't have any insights that I can share right now. I've got John on the line. I don't know if John has a better answer than me.
No, we're waiting. Thanks, Susan, putting me on the spot on that one. A similar answer in some way. We're working our way through it, Ivan, in terms of what the detail is and what the impact might be for us, and obviously we've got a fair bit of work to look at there. So we've no clear steer or indication from us at this stage.
Thanks, John. Sorry.
No, it's all right. No, I appreciate the candidness. It feels like a great opportunity with levelling up, etc. So potentially something for us to sort of engage on in the future, and maybe sort of BECBC be an organisation that can sort of lend some support there.
Yeah, and of course we will engage as soon as we understand this a bit better, and we can formulate a plan of action. We will engage.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ivan and Susan. Let's go to Kath Howard. You had a question, Kath.
Hi, thanks, Andrew. Susan, my question was about how we give opportunities to our local SMEs, and particularly I'm thinking about the future, about using AI, robotics in some of the work around Sellafield. But I'm not sort of saying, oh, how do we give Cumbria an extra, sort of bit of work that, you can't tender out, because I know there's opportunity, there's rules around that. But it's just, how do we make sure that our local SMEs have as much opportunity as possible to take part?
So I normally answer this question in two parts. So firstly, it's very important, and I once again will make the statement reminding everyone that I've got exactly 3 months in seat. So please do remember that I don't necessarily know as much about it as I will in a short amount of time. But luckily, I once again have John here to keep me on the straight and narrow. So firstly, it's important that we are aware of capability and capacity in the area. Now we've got, I know John runs quite a few sessions where we engage with SMEs, and thank you for everyone that's been engaging in that and making sure we're aware of you. So that's the first part. The second part is for us to work through our strategies, update our category strategies, and implement and work on our sustainability strategy that we already have. And with that two-pronged approach, and then the third piece is we actually need new pieces of scope and work to become available, which we can then channel. So, you know, you need to do those 3 pieces of strategy work and then action on those to make a difference. Now, I personally think when I look at the stats that Sellafield has, as well as the process, you know, and just as the information that John is sharing, is that we're doing a good job. It's there. You might not agree with me, and I'll be happy to have that conversation. But you know, quite a chunk of money spent by Sellafield is going through SMEs. Whether it's going through local SMEs, I don't know, and I will find out. But there's a good chunk of money already going and being spent on SMEs, which is great. I really liked seeing that when I saw the first bit of information, you know, the first performance scorecard. That we can always do more, but it then once again depends on what we have available and who is available in the market, and the market factors driving that. But that's my process that I normally follow.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't sure if it's an anonymous question, but I don't think it is. So let's go to Stephen. Stephen Shepherd. Want to unmute your mic and ask that question?
Yeah, thank you, Susan. Thanks for the update. Much appreciated. Just one question, really, for me. It's a bit of an appeal, really, on behalf of manufacturing SMEs. They were asking, there's very few opportunities, and we're asking if Sellafield Tier 1s and Tier 2 suppliers will actually release some manufacturing opportunities. Obviously, we all want to be around after the pandemic, but there'll be some won't be if we're not careful.
Okay.
Susan, can I pick up on that first, Susan, just in terms of context? So, Stephen, we had a conversation about this a week or two ago, and I have just chased this morning, actually, a follow-up. But when we've had a little look at what our spend profile, it's not looking significantly different this year to last year. Now, that doesn't mean that there are opportunities for manufacturers in particular, and the opportunities are not flowing out, and I'm not pushing back on that. But the initial reflection is that actually our spend profile isn't significantly different, you know, to the same period last year. But we have got a little bit more. I've pushed back to say I want a little bit more information on that and to get the right context. But just to give you that reassurance, I suppose. But I'll hand over back to Susan for might get a more strategic answer.
Thanks, John. That's very helpful.
Okay, I'm just conscious. If you look on CTM, there is some new inquiries linked to supplies and services, but nothing at all, nothing in manufacturing. I know you've had the can racks and the stainless steel containers, but other than that, nothing else for SMEs at this moment.
It once again goes towards what what's come up for retender, or you know, the scopes that require us to engage with the market. We can only tender what we require. So you know, based on what John just said, there's clearly still some contracts running, which we are spending money on. And we will go to the market with any new requirements, through CTM, through the same ways that we've always done. So I hear what you're saying, but I can't tender something if there's no scope available.
I'm talking of suppliers that are much further down in the supply chain or the food chain. They're not tier 1, tier 2s. These are people that pick up what's left, the crumbs that's left, And what I'm saying is there's not many crumbs about at the moment.
I hear what you're saying. Like John said, he has asked for more information. So as soon as we have that, we can get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you both. Peter Fleming, you had a question as well, if you want to ask that. And then we've got one more after that. And unless there's anything that comes in the meantime, just down to the last two questions.
Yeah. Morning, Susan. What I was going to ask is often in sort of business, defining the strategy is the easy part, implementation is the hard part. So I wondered if we were sat here at the end of 2023, so 3 years hence, what would good look like from SL in respect to the supply chain?
Oh, what a fabulous question. I like that. So what would good look like? Good would look like that we've had clear category strategies that we've engaged with you all, that we have implemented, because that gap between strategy and implementation is very important. And it's there normally that, it's where the tire hits the tarmac that you need to be really, really good at implementing. And I've been speaking to the team that we need to make sure that, there's small wins along the way, which is great to celebrate, but we need to make sure that we keep our eye on the price. And the price is to implement that contract and then to work with the supplier, the partner, collaboratively to deliver against those KPIs. So that's what good would look like, that we've transitioned some of the really big contracts, agreements, pieces of work that's out in the market now, that we've implemented them, and that we're running an SRM program that's really delivering on the KPIs collaboratively with our supply chain. And I would like to see quite a few more of those.
Yeah. And do you imagine that? Sorry, can I
add something? And to go back to my discussion with, I think it was with Alan in the NDA, to become boring and predictable, to take these surprises out of the process, to deliver what the business needs in a quality way, so that we deliver against this mission and strategy that we've set, but deliver, not just talk about.
So do you envisage that in 3 years' time we'll be well on the way to seeing that biggest construction site in the UK?
Oh yes, we have to be. Yeah, we'll definitely have to be. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Peter. Not seeing any further questions, so it looks like this will be the last one from Sian. Back to you, Sian.
All right. Well, this leads me to ask the last question and then do a bit of a wrap up. Susan, obviously we've had lots of chancellors' announcements, and last week was the 2021 comprehensive spending review. Did you greet the output and the allocation to BEIS with relief or with panic?
So I'm still new enough not to have had either of those two.
Well, I'll tell you what, chuck it to John, and I'd love to know what he says as well.
I'm still virtually in that happy period of it is what it is, and we'll have to work with it. John, what did you think?
Sian, I'm going to plead for a repeat on that, because there's lots of people messaging me privately, asking questions and making comments, and so I missed your question.
No worries, John. As you know, the Chancellor issued the comprehensive spending review last week, and I just wondered whether Sellafield greeted the allocation to the Nuclear Decommissioning Authority with relief or with panic.
Panic? No. I think it is what it is. We have to look at it and respond to it in the best way that we can, and it's still, there's still some detail to be figured out on it. So I don't think it's going to be a major game changer for us at this stage.
And I'm guessing you're going to be continued to be occupied in preparing for next year, since this is only an annual allocation. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that the thing is at the moment that there is still, it's really challenging for us. And I know we're a big organisation, and there's lots of us. But we have so much that we need to try and focus on. You know, we have to try and be all things to all people sometimes. So, you know, what we're trying to do on the SME agenda, what we're trying to do with our response to COVID, which, as we've already sort of everybody knows, has been, you know, a big focus of our attention. Looking at, you know, managing the risks about what Brexit means and what the port situation means at the moment. You know, that takes time and things. So all these things keep coming into us, and the spending review, these things keep coming into us and do take a significant time of focus and attention to be able to respond to. And of course, we've got to also think about how one thing knocks onto another, and look at that bigger picture. And it's, you know, as you know, I've only been at Sellafield 2.5 years now. And I still am surprised with a mixture of panic and relief in itself about the scale of the things that we have to do. And it shouldn't be underestimated, really.
Thank you both. And Andrew, if there's been no more questions, I will wrap up this part of it. Susan and John, really appreciate you coming along. It's always worthwhile reminding us of the bigger picture of the strategy and the thoughts that Sellafield are having there, and therefore we can work out where we fit. But I also appreciate the emphasis you've given us on implementation. Peter, thank you for the great question. It was a really useful response there. I appreciate your engagement, your light-hearted engagement, but your serious engagement, and there is always an open invitation for you to come here, and we look to welcome you back as soon as you wish next year. And two things: first of all, thank you from all of us, and secondly, good luck and enjoy it. It's a great opportunity. So thank you very much, and we sort of do a virtual round of applause. So big thank you for that.
Thank you very much for having me. I enjoyed it.
Okay, moving on, just a bit of conclusion. So thank you very much, everybody, again for coming along and welcoming Susan. John, thank you very much for supporting. Andrew, as always, and Hazel, thank you. It's been an interesting day. Really appreciate it if everybody could help Diane with the survey looking forward. If we don't have feedback from the members, then we don't know what to do. So Diane, thank you for introducing that. Vicky, well, there's been lots of commentary about the possibility of 3 Vickies, but I think there's an emphasis, there's only one you, and we can't do better than that. But again, thank you very much to everybody who's supported us throughout the 3 years on the BSCP. It was great to see Susan and her message, and again, thank you very much for that. We'll sort of close here. We're now going to open up for networking, and I think the plan is to do 2 networking sessions of about 15 minutes each. I understand if people like myself disappear for 30 seconds to grab another, and I'm getting messaging from Hazel as well here to do things, grab another cup of coffee. Before I close, you will have seen an email through the member messaging from Ivan, looking at where we've been this year, what we've been through, again, how the cluster's adapted, but also recognising the challenges facing us all. Really appreciate your support this year and hope that you will join us next year. Now, just to say thanks everybody for hanging on, and as you say, the networking sessions were great. Claire Louise, hopefully we could do some business there, that'd be useful. No, appreciate your time. Please stay safe over Christmas, and next year will be better. And I look forward to seeing you all then, if not before. So have a great one, everyone.